Hello, my name's Ian Douglas, and I am Bishop Diocesan of the Episcopal Church in Connecticut. And I'm here to report on day 7 at the 2022 Lambeth Conference, the 15th Lambeth Conference of Bishops of the Global Anglican Communion. Today was a heavy work day, much anticipated, a lot of anxiety, but a heavy work day where we were dealing with the themes of reconciliation and human dignity. There was a lot of worry coming in today because, particularly on the call to human dignity, there was some question or not whether Resolution 110 from the 1998 Lambeth Conference of Bishops would be inserted into the call, saying that there is that as the mind of the Anglican Communion. The day began as we kind of normally are leaning into this with biblical exposition on the book of 1 Peter. We then went to our Bible study groups where we engaged deeply over questions of what is the nature and realities of our Christian call to reconciliation. We gathered back in the main plenary, venue 1 as it's known, and we heard really profound presentations by 3 bishops among us as to what is the nature of reconciliation in their countries of origin. We heard about reconciliation in post-war Mozambique. We also heard about reconciliation for indigenous peoples in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and also in North India. That set us up for afternoon in-depth conversations on the specific calls, one to reconciliation, one to human dignity. I'm delighted to say that today we engaged the calls much differently than we had over the previous 3 calls. There was no voting, there was no stand-up shouting of assent or not assent, there were no clickers. Rather, what we did around our tables in deep and meaningful ways is discuss specifically for the call on reconciliation. Where is Jesus in the call to reconciliation? Can we tell a story about what reconciliation looks like in our contexts? And with respect to the specific requests, where are we feeling drawn as individuals, and what kind of commitments might we make one to another? And then at the end of that, to prayerfully offer those conversations to God and to one another in those commitments. That pedagogy, that way of prayerfully discussing at our table, carried forward into the call on human dignity. In the end, any reference specifically that Resolution 110 from 1998 is the mind of the Anglican Communion was deleted. So what it ended up being was a description of 110, what it says, but not saying the whole Anglican Communion lines up behind 110. And it actually acknowledges churches like our church in the Episcopal Church that affirms the full dignity and place of LGBTQ plus people in the life of the church, and also that we've done our good and deep theological work on marriage equality was recognized in a descriptive manner in our time together. And as importantly, we were able to spend time on the other part of the call for human dignity, which calls for us as a communion for our complicity in the enslavement of peoples across the Atlantic, and also inviting us to deeply engage with the question of reparations. Once again, our conversations were offered to God without the need of some kind of up-down, winner-loser vote. So I want to thank God. I want to thank God for this day, for the hard work that we did together, specifically modeling as much as talking about what does it mean to be a Christian engaged in the reconciling work of God and Jesus Christ, and what does it mean to respect the integrity and human dignity of all people. It was a good and blessed day. Thanks be to God.